All right, DW Gaming here, and I am looking at the developer update, the mid-chapter patch for the newest chapter. They're introducing several new things to the game, probably within the next few weeks or so. Let's take a look at this. Overall, I'm not happy with the changes they've introduced. It's, once again, from a very survivor-sided perspective. No surprise, it's by Peanuts, one of the most biased developers in the company, I would say. Let's take a look at this, though. So, Survivor Disconnect bots, this is fine. Whenever someone disconnects, a bot will spawn in the survivor's place. That's fine. That would definitely help solo queue. I don't think it will affect Killer too much because it is a bot. So, but I think there's really no problem with that. They are introducing successful report feedback. So if you report someone, they're going to let you know how successful your efforts were. Whatever. I see that being prone to abuse since people report other people for the stupidest things. So we'll see how that goes. Now to the really important parts of this update. The Onryo, somehow they managed to nerf the weakest killer in the game. I don't care what anyone else says. This is a straight up nerf. If you break it down, you will see it's a straight up nerf. So let's use our brains here and dissect what's going on. So they're changing the projection mechanic. So it says projecting to a TV now applies 3/4 of a stack, 75% of a stack of condemned to all survivors not carrying a cursed tape. Was 1 stack to nearby survivors. So when you first read this, you're going to be like, oh, wait a minute, this looks pretty good. It'll apply 75% of a stack to all survivors, not just nearby survivors. Let's break it down though. First of all, it was 1 stack to nearby survivors, so it's not even a full stack. Second, when we get to the changes concerning the tapes, this isn't going to matter. This will not matter at all. So this change might as well be completely ineffective. It's not going to matter. Second change. The time a TV is disabled after the Onryo projects to it has been reduced to 70 seconds, was 100 seconds. It's still too long at 70 seconds. 30 seconds is not that much. So this isn't much of a change. Third, this is a huge nerf. The time a TV is disabled after a survivor removes the cursed tape has been increased to 90 seconds, was 60 seconds. So if a survivor turns off a TV, it'll be off now for 90 seconds, 30 seconds longer. That's huge. Given that you need the TVs on in order to actually teleport to them, that is a big nerf. That's not good. Also, she got nerfed in her projection. Projection now has a 15-second cooldown. It shouldn't have a cooldown at all. Right now, it has no cooldown. The fact that TVs can be turned off for 90 seconds basically should be the only thing that should be cooled down. Projection should not have a cooldown. They say there's no longer a range limit on the condemned effect. We need to limit how frequently this can happen. It happens every time a survivor turns a TV off. So every time the TV comes back on, it happens. That's 90 seconds. It does not need a 15-second cooldown. TVs will be off all over the map. There's no reason for this cooldown. It's stupid. Combining these changes make it much easier to spread Condemned. No, they don't. They do not make it easier to spread Condemned. I don't know what he's smoking to write something like this, but no. It's not much easier. I'll prove it when we get to this part here. Cursed tapes. Cursed tapes have become more dangerous as well. No, they haven't. Though holding a cursed tape may protect you from the Condemned effect when the Onryo teleports, they come with their own risks. What risks? Let's see. Getting hit with a basic attack while carrying a cursed tape will now apply 1 stack of Condemned. Big deal. This doesn't matter when you consider what happens next. Let's say I hit a survivor twice. They get 2 stacks of Condemned. But when the survivor I down holding the tape gets 2 stacks of Condemned, here's what happens. When a survivor carrying a cursed tape is hooked, all other survivors gain 1 stack of Condemned and the tape is destroyed. So that survivor that I just downed with the tape that had at least 2 stacks of Condemned now doesn't have to worry about being condemned anymore because the tape is gone. All our survivors gain 1 stack of Condemned. Big deal. That doesn't mean anything. But here's the biggest nerf. Holding a cursed tape no longer passively builds Condemned. This is the biggest nerf out of everything. Because this negates what happens here with projecting to a TV. And negates what happens here with all the Condemned mechanics. Since survivors can no longer passively get condemned by holding a tape, there's really no drawback to holding a tape the whole match. I mean, yeah, you'll get a stack of Condemned if you're hit. So what? You can get rid of that easily. Your tape is destroyed when you're hooked. So there's no reason to not hold on to a tape. The tape will not build up your Condemned. This goes against her entire lore. The whole point of the tape was that you had to get rid of it. I don't understand what they're doing here. They're making a bad killer even worse. There is no way this is not a nerf. If this wasn't in the changes, I'd say, yeah, then she received a buff. But since she no longer can passively build Condemned, and she has a 15-second cooldown, on top of that, 30 seconds added to TVs that were shut off. No, this is a huge nerf. It doesn't matter if it applies 3/4 of a stack of Condemned to all survivors. And it says all survivors not carrying a cursed tape. Every survivor who spawns into the match now will just go to the nearest TV, grab a tape, she'll teleport, it won't matter, because they'll all be carrying tapes. This is ridiculous. I don't know how else I can put it. They made a weak killer even weaker. That's not even the last of it, though. Lastly, cursed tapes can now be placed in any TV other than the one they were retrieved from. So, if you as a survivor take a tape of a TV and shut it off, the old mechanic would show you where the TV you needed to put the tape in was. It would show a little icon, and then it would highlight the TV that you would need to go to in order to insert the tape. Now you can put it in any TV. Doesn't matter. So basically you just need to find the gens, because that's where the TVs are going to be. And you can have 2 gens right next to each other sometimes. All you need to do is remove a tape from one TV, put into the other TV nearest you. It doesn't even have to be the TV the game says you need to put it into. So this is another huge nerf. I don't know what they're smoking when they're saying that it'd be easier to spread condemned. This is not going to make it easier to spread condemned. Onryo is already a bad killer. She has no anti-loop. Now they've made her even worse. If you have any amount of intelligence and break this down, look at it critically, you'll see she's getting a nerf. She is not getting a buff, no matter what anyone says. This is pathetic. They've also made a few adjustments to Onryo's demanifested state. Onryo can no longer be stunned while demanifested, but chases are prevented when demanifested, which means you can no longer reach bloodlust, any level of bloodlust, while you're demanifested. So there's really no point in a chase to being demanifested unless there's a TV you know the survivor will run near and you can teleport. Other than that, there's really no point because you will not receive any kind of bloodlust speed bonus. A survivor could be running made for this, and if you're demanifested the entire chase, you'll just be running around the whole map and it won't matter. So yeah, she can no longer be stunned while demanifested. Big deal. Removing bloodlust from demanifestation is a really big deal, though. So once again, we have another nerf. They're going to be readjusting her add-ons, I'm sure, because the iridescent add-on, the tape add-on, I'm sure will have to be adjusted to where you can put the tape at any TV, not the TV farthest away from you at the beginning of the match. It's just a whole shit show when it comes to what they did to Onryo. This is sad. She did not need this. She needs some kind of base kit anti-loop or something. But this is bad. This is really bad for her. It doesn't matter though. I will not be touching Killer with this latest update. This update really screws killers over, so there's no reason to play Killer in this game anymore except to fulfill challenges and rituals. It's another big issue I have. Hook grabs. So they are preventing killers from hook grabbing a healthy survivor when the survivor would go for an unhook, and if they didn't time it right, the killer could grab them and put them on the ground to apply more pressure. Problem is that once they remove this now, basically all you're doing is trading, which is not favorable for the killer. So this is a huge nerf to killers in general. And it rewards survivors for playing stupid. If you have an idiot teammate who wants to unhook you with the killer right there, they are no longer punished. I really don't understand why they're doing anything with hook grabs, since they will be introducing an anti-camping mechanic. It should be either one or the other. It shouldn't be both, because hook grabs would allow you to get massive pressure if the game's not going your way and the survivors want to be stupid and unhook right in front of the killer. But now that's not going to be possible anymore. Yeah, so this is great. Screwing over killer players even more. So apparently brand new part is being nerfed. When brand new part is installed, you will face a difficult skill check. Upon succeeding the skill check, the generator's required charges are reduced by 10 and the add-on is consumed. So it will save 10 seconds compared to 22.5 seconds. there should be no brand new parts in this game. This add-on should be done away with. Toolboxes should be done away with. I mean, it's a baby step. I doubt they plan to nerf it anymore. Perks. They're changing perks once again. And this is why I really am getting tired of this. They feel they need to shake up the meta every few months now, and it's getting really stupid. Honestly, every time I see one of these updates, I just want to, just turn the game off, not even play it anymore, because I know they're going to be screwing up a whole slew of perks. Well, let's see what happens here. So Coup de Grace will gain 2 tokens now whenever a generator is powered. Yeah, okay. I still don't think it'll be a meta perk. No one's really going to run it. Claustrophobia, that's Demo's perk, where any generator that is powered within that 32 meter area, it will block all window vaults. They're removing the range restriction, so map wide it will block all window vaults. It might be useful. Survivors have so much to work with, though. It's difficult to say. Then we got some really weird perk changes. I swear they are just blindfolding these some of these developers and having them point to a list of perks and say, okay, whatever perk your finger lands on, that's a perk will change. Hangman's Trick. Hangman's Trick will become Scourge Hook Hangman's Trick. This perk now reveals the auras of survivors within 8, 9, 10 meters of a Scourge Hook whenever a survivor is being carried. Big deal. It's still a crap perk. No one's going to run this. It's still crap. And no one ran it when it revealed survivors within any hook. And now they're limiting it to Scourge Hooks. Yeah, no one's going to run this perk. They've killed already. They've pretty much already killed an already dead perk. This perk was dead and buried. And they've just poured an extra layer of dirt on it. Is what they've done. It's definitely not worth running now. Territorial Imperative, another perk no one uses. We have increased. What happens is it reveals the aura of survivors who go into the basement. We have increased the duration of the aura reveal to 6 seconds was 3. Yeah, so what? We have also lowered the distance the killer must be from the basement entrance of 24 meters was 3. So they nerfed it. They buffed it by 3 seconds, but then they nerfed it. They've nerfed the distance. So if you're outside 24 meters, it was 32. If you're outside 24 meters from the basement, you won't see anything. To give survivors an opportunity to sneak in for a rescue, because of course they always have to give survivors something, we even increased the cooldown of Territorial Imperative to 45 seconds. So they nerfed it again. So another dead perk has already been made even more irrelevant. This is really stupid. I don't know what these guys are on, but it must be something good to come up with these kind of changes. Remember Me. So it's not as effective as they'd like it to be. Well, it's not really a great perk to begin with. Each time your obsession loses a health state, gain a token. Each token increases the opening time of the exit gates by 6 seconds up to a maximum of 24 seconds, was 4 seconds. Up to a maximum of 16 seconds. Yeah, it's still not that great. It might work well in an endgame build, but even then, there are better perks in the endgame to use than that one. Hex Crowd Control. They did buff this one. What happens is if you hit a survivor, or if you're chasing a survivor, and they fast fall a window, this is a hex perk, by the way. They fast fall a window, the entity will block it. It would block it for 14 seconds. So they're increasing the duration of the entity blockers to 60 seconds a minute. That's fine. The problem is it's a hex perk. So it's more than likely to be gone within the first few minutes of the match. So this really doesn't matter at all. I think the best changes they've made to perks is this one, Trail of Torment, which Trail of Torment, if you kick a gen, you become undetectable until either a survivor's health state is reduced or the generator stops regressing. Trail of Torment will now only deactivate when the affected generator stops regressing, not when the health state is lost. That's a good change. That's probably the only good change to any of these killer perks. The rest are they've either killed dead perks or made other perks, a little bit better than mediocre, but not by much. Okay, now we get into survivor perks, which is a really scary section because they are always buffing these. Thankfully, Prove Thyself got a nerf, but it's not. They reduced the speed bonus to 10%. It was 15%. It still should not exist at all. No generator perks and no generator influencing items should exist, but I mean, it's better than nothing, I guess. Still disappointing. But now we get to the buffs, because why not? I mean, survivors are just so oppressed, don't you know? So they've increased the duration of Blast Mine to 120 seconds. It was 45. So pretty much anytime anyone's using Blast Mine and anytime you kick a gen, you're going to be affected by it, because it'll last so long on the generator that they're working on. Same thing with Wiretap. They've increased the duration to 120 seconds, which basically lets you see the killer's aura within a certain radius of the generator. And 120 seconds is kind of ridiculous. The amount of time you'll be able to actually see the killer's aura. It won't be the full 120 seconds because generators don't take that long. But if someone's being chased, if the killer forces them off a gen and the generator's progress doesn't move, you'll still be able to see where the killer is chasing that survivor. So, yeah. They had to buff that, of course. Saboteur. Listen to how they word this. This is the same thing with hook grabs. Peanuts words this to where it's obvious he's a survivor main, and it's obvious he's survivor biased. We've all been in that situation before. That first sentence tells me that you're only talking on behalf of survivors. You don't care about what happens to the killer players. You just care about survivor players. You're supposed to be impartial. I mean, seriously. You should not be so obvious in your bias. But here's another sense. The hook-breaking heroes out there will know that even a fraction of a second. Okay, they're not heroes. They're pains in the ass. Imagine if this was reversed, where the killer could break a generator, and that generator could not be worked on for a certain amount of time. Would he be calling the killers the generator-breaking heroes out there? No, of course he wouldn't. This guy is unbelievable. Anyway, so yeah, they had to buff Saboteur for some reason. It's not a huge buff, but it's still very annoying. It's a very annoying perk. So they've reduced the time it takes to sabotage a hook without a toolbox. At 2.3 seconds was 2.5. The cooldown of the perk remains the same, except for the first two tiers. No one runs it at tier 1, tier 2, unless they have just unlocked it. So, yeah. Another survivor perk that's been buffed, clairvoyance will now activate upon blessing a totem in addition to cleansing, because of course, I mean, it would be so horrible if a survivor had to choose between breaking a totem and blessing it. It would be so terrible. Breakout received a buff, because why not? I mean, Breakout now increases the wiggle speed of a carried survivor by 25%, was 20. And listen to this next sentence. However, to make this more risky, Breakout now activates within a 5-meter range, was 6 meters. That's not risky at all. That's 1 meter. Give me a break. Oh, that's so risky. Yep. Buckle Up was buffed. Now we have another perk that gives survivors the endurance effect. Upon healing a survivor from the dying state, both you and the healed survivor gain the endurance status effect for 10 seconds. This is ridiculous. They should not be getting this many endurance effects from these many perks. I don't care how frequently or infrequently these perks are used. The endurance effect needs to be limited to a select number of perks. But whatever. You know, just give survivors everything. Why not? Smash Hit. I was using Smash Hit for a while. It's a very high risk, high reward perk. They've reduced the duration of the exhaustion effect to 20 seconds. It was 40, so they've cut it in half. I guess they want more people to use Smash Hit. This I don't really have a problem with because it is high risk, high reward, especially if you're injured and trying to go for a pallet stun. So that I don't really have much of a problem with. Spine Chill, they're doing something. They're removing the terror radius visualization aspect of it because the visual terror radius mechanic's been introduced. So whatever, that's fine. Killers, they are nerfing several killers. Basically, if you cage someone as Pyramid Head, you won't be able to camp them when you reach their cage. They've increased the range to 10 meters, so if you're within 10 meters of the cage, it will disappear and go to another part of the map. Spirit, they've pretty much keep gutting these add-ons, which are the best add-ons, make her actually viable. But Mother-Daughter Ring, they've reduced the movement speed bonus to 25%. It was 40. I don't know why they're doing this. She's not even a top-tier killer anymore. If they want to do something to killers, they could do something to Nurse and Blight, but those killers remain unchanged for some reason. I mean, I know Nurse recently got a bit of a nerf, but Blight, Alchemist Ring, unchanged. Dried Cherry Blossom, it's only going to work within 3 meters of the survivor. So it is reduced by a meter. That's whatever. Yeah. They're changing other add-ons that will no longer cause the haunting to recharge faster because it increases the duration of the haunting and whatever. It's just more fiddling with stuff they don't really need to fiddle with. Hag, a waterlogged shoe, crap add-on. No one uses it. The add-on isn't doing as well as we like. Yeah, because it's crap. It takes away her ability to teleport. She's a 110 movement speed killer, and her main power is teleporting, and you take that away from her. There's no reason to use this add-on. But apparently they've increased the movement speed boost to 7.5%, was 4.5%. So I'm not too sure of the math. But I did watch True Talent's reaction to this, and apparently people in the stream were saying that she can move at 117%, whereas base movement speed for killers is 115. So she can go a little faster than base movement speed killers when she uses this add-on. I guess that's something. It's still, her strongest ability is being able to teleport. I don't see this add-on being used a whole lot. We'll see. Mint Rag. They've reduced the cooldown on the teleport to 10 seconds. You can teleport to any trap in the trial. The only problem with Mint Rag is that it's not dependent on whether the trap is triggered or not. So I've played games where I've used Mint Rag. I hear a trap go off. I hit the teleport key, and all of a sudden I'm like nowhere near the survivor because I teleported to the wrong trap. I think if they redid Mint Rag to where it acts like a normal trap when it gets triggered, but it just allows you to teleport to the trap that was triggered, regardless of the range, it would be a lot better. Half eggshell and cracked turtle egg. These add-ons are garbage. Don't use them. Increase Phantasm trap duration by 45% and increase Phantasm trap duration by 55%. I mean, the only way I can see these being useful is if you're carrying a survivor to a hook and someone else sets off another trap. You might have a chance of getting to them now after you hook the survivor. Otherwise, yeah, these add-ons aren't that great. Last but not least, they are doing a balance update on Coldwind Farm. I already see a problem here. This pallet. Now, it looks like they're removing the breakable walls, which is good. But they can't just remove the breakable walls and have nothing there. Oh, no. Behavior has to have at least one pallet there for the survivors. So there's a problem right there. This looks relatively unchanged except for this doorway here. I think that leads... they've opened it up, it looks like. They've opened up the main building on Rancid Abattoir. This is on Cowshed. And this is on Abattoir. So they've made it... It looks like easier for survivors to loop the main building. Especially here. It could be... There's a window vault here, so this might actually be an infinite or close to an infinite. I'll have to see. They've added new details. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Big deal. And that's it. Overall, a very bad update. Not something I'm looking forward to. Let's see, be on the public test build starting later this week. Today is the 5th. So I can only assume that maybe it'll be out by, I don't know, Friday maybe? On the public test build. So, once again, they don't need to be doing these updates. That's my general take on all this. They have another Survivor coming out in mid-July. What they could do is if they want to, and I don't want them making radical changes like this because it's just ruining the game. But if they have to do it, I don't know why they don't do it when the new Survivor, Nicolas Cage, is coming out. They should be doing it then. I don't know why they're not. It's just more of an opportunity for them to screw things up again. But there you have it. My opinion on this dreadful looking update. And I will see everyone in the next video.